Welcome back to the Mission 300 podcast. Here's what we're going to go after today. We're going to do a little rundown of how our Mission 300 challenge has been going, where each day we walk or run a mile, we do creative writing for 15 minutes, and we meditate on one verse or passage. So we'll do a rundown of how that's been going for us, ways we've been crushing it and ways we have been completely failing. And then we're going to get to some actionable things on forming habits and the point of doing that, because a habit just for the sake of doing it might be narcissistic and maybe not so beneficial. So there needs to be a point to it and a purpose behind it. So that's where we're going today.
That's awesome. So let's hear what is going on with the challenges, what's working, what doesn't, and maybe someone give us a rundown why we picked those three things just to build some habits.
I don't know why we picked those three things, because they're all challenges. But myself, the running challenge has been a good one. I made it a goal, and Brian's going to do it with me. Later this summer, we're running a Tough Mudder, running a 15K Tough Mudder. So it's kind of a general strength challenge and a running challenge as well. But I've been fairly consistent with the running, more so than I ever have. I've ran 16 some miles this month, which if you had looked previously at my running track record, that's probably more than I've ever ran in my life. So it's a bit of an adjustment, but I think the interesting thing to note on the running side for me has been like picking up a new habit. I can run like 4 or 5 days in a row. And then if I miss one day, it's very easy to miss the next. And then it's easy to miss the next one. And it's almost like you can get so far and then life happens, right? But how do you overcome that, right? I think has been the question I'm asking myself is like when your habit comes across something like where life happens, how do you continue doing that? And but it's interesting to note, give yourself a couple days off, and then all of a sudden you have to re-engage the will force, re-engage the habit of get back into it, where momentum's easily when you just keep building off of each other. And so the weeks when I've ran the most, it's when it's just been back to back to back and just keep going.
I'm pretty sure that is the one aspect of the challenge that I have almost completely failed on. It seems like such an easy one because it's just 1 mile. But then you add the factor in, I don't like running. I know there's like 5 people in the world that enjoy running. I mean, hashtag bring back mental asylums, but I live in Minnesota. I have all the excuses, you guys. I live in Minnesota. It's been negative 40 degrees for like a month here. Everything is just covered in ice, so it's slippery, so it's not even safe to run outside. I didn't have a treadmill inside my house. I had one in my garage that when we moved about 3 years ago, we brought with us, and it's been in an exposed garage since then. So it was covered in dirt and miscellaneous animal things. And so it was an ordeal to think about bringing that in and all the cleanup that would have to go. And maybe it probably doesn't even work. And where are we going to put it? Because we have 5 kids, so it's not like we have all this room in the house. Anyway, I had all the excuses. And this is normally the part of the story where the person's like, I had all the excuses, but I did it anyways. I have not done that every day. I've done it some days. But it kind of it made me realize the hang-ups that I have mentally in doing something that seems simple, but how it's really not, and how easy it is to let some of that go and not give it the attention that I should be. And in fact, we were talking a bit before we were recording this episode. It was actually my 10-year-old daughter that actually said something that made me kick into gear and be like, holy crap, we have to do this now. Like, I'm bringing this thing in today. We're getting it done. I can't let this go on anymore. But that's the one that's been a struggle for me. The writing and the meditating has been Pretty awesome, actually. I've been a musician and a songwriter since I was a kid. And so getting back into lyric writing and experimenting with different tools that I can take those lyrics with and do some fun technology things that I couldn't do 15 years ago has actually been really fun, and kind of the mental exercise that honestly has kind of paid dividends in other areas. Like my brain is functioning at a different level when I have that time to exercise my mind in that way.
This is very insightful. I find it interesting you guys couldn't answer the question, why did we choose those three? So
that's right.
I thought I will tell you it was kind of a rhetorical question, really, because I would assume you would want to know why we were doing that. So we picked three things that deal with the mind, deal with our creative thinking, our way of thinking, and one that deals with the physical. And we didn't want them to be too time consuming because we'll talk about that in a minute, but there's a difference between a habit and a discipline. So we're going to be doing the Tough Mudder, but that's not something you run 15K every day. You don't create a habit around running 15K, but you have to have some habits of fitness in order to do that. The creative thought is just getting your mind beyond. We could get so lost in our daily that all we're ever consumed with is what's going on today, versus it kind of breaks you out of that to get you thinking about something beyond your current moment. And there's something really powerful in that, but you need a habit of it. And then the meditation is just so biblically, remove theology, just relationally with God, foundational. What you meditate on is what you become. You really think about it. Every action you do has something from the way you think about it, the way you perceive. Meditation is the key thing that changes that. And for the listeners, we're not referring to Eastern meditation, which is different. We're talking about the meditation Bible like Joshua 1, Psalms 1, Philippians, where it talks about what you should think about. That meditation context is you choosing what you're going to think about every day, and you choosing to think about that and making it part of your whole mental piece. And so that's why we're doing it. And there's a difference between a habit and like, hey, I got a goal, I'm going to run a race. I got a goal, I'm going to write a song by the end of the year. It takes willpower to write and take discipline to write that. So those are your disciplines to get there. If you don't have willpower, it will fade. Like you will eventually, your willpower is more like a muscle and you can wear it out. But a habit actually frees you from the willpower and it becomes just a part of your day. So the reason 1 mile is everyone has 18 minutes in a day. Everyone has it to do something that's good for you. And you could actually meditate while you're running. You could actually think while you're running and be deliberate. But everyone has that 18 minutes. And when you tell your body to do something, you're breaking that power that your feelings drive what you do every day. And you will find you actually will feel better after the run than before you started. So it's funny, your feelings lie. So it's breaking that idea of your feelings. So all of these little factors, I could speak in front of people, I can talk, but writing is so hard for me. And somehow I have this blockade in me that I think of English class and I have to write a 1-paragraph essay and I'd sit and stare at a paper for hours, not knowing what to write. So to me, it's like running is writing, but I'm making myself do it in some small little piece, a small segment of time to just be deliberate about writing. And then the meditation, it's just foundational to our relationship. Now we could build goals and challenges and bigger things on top of that because we're starting to build these building blocks below. So that's that reason for the habit. So with that, shifting gears a little bit, what have you discovered? So Tom, you brought up in the habit of how you realize you lose momentum if you stop doing it. And Jason, you mentioned how it actually brought back some good things like the creative writing. So you probably went further than the time that you even were required within the habit. And so I think that's really cool what the habit did. How does habits affect other people? I guess that's kind of a question. What have you noticed of other people in your life, you doing the habit? What has been the positive and negative of you trying to establish this habit regarding other people?
One thing for me has been the I guess you could call it the demonstration of time to my kids, because there's, I want to be a really present father. I ask people that are older than me, like, what's the secret to parenting? And most of the time it's be there and show up. And so I've always wanted to be a present father and be there for my kids. But I also realize that can actually go too far to where you don't control your time. Your kids now control your time. And so the things you need to do that you have to do are subject to, well, I'm going to spend time with my kids. And it is a very difficult balance, and it's very situational for families. But having the time to sit down and say, I'm doing this now, kids, so you can't come to me and ask me ridiculous questions right now. And I've got kids from 2 to 10, ridiculous questions abound. But there's this time, like, I'm doing this now, and no, I'm not going to come watch your skit that you just made up with your brother. That can wait until after this, or I'm not going to do this right now. I am doing this, and this is my time that is set aside. And them get to see that and understand it and have to be okay with it has been really helpful, because it does make the time that I spend with them more valuable afterwards.
For me, specifically with the running part, we kind of have this running joke, and a little bit of my friend groups is I was like, oh, I could run a marathon. It's all in the mind. Like I could do it. I could do it tomorrow if I really wanted to. Like, I'm capable with my mind. And I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to run a marathon. And then quickly fell short and never ran the marathon. And so for myself, I think it's building back into that integrity of like conviction of people are starting to see that I'm actually going to do what I say I'm going to do. And not only is that affecting the people in my life that are around me, but it's affecting myself personally as well. Like, if I can hold my commitment to running a mile every day, I can hold to my commitment on, I don't need that soda, or I don't need that ice cream, or, building up the conviction that I can tell myself what I'm going to do, or tell my body what it's going to do. That I can do that. And so the other thing it does, I mean, with my wife too, not that she sees someone that's not full of integrity, but, to say, yeah, I'm going to run a Tough Mudder, put my money where my mouth is, and then start training right away. She's noticed. And like today, I was like, yeah, I don't want to run today, but as soon as I put my clothes on, I'm going to run. And she's like, okay. And I go put my clothes on and I go run. So, she just can kind of see the journey too. So it's been good. And I've seen her do that in her own life, toot on my wife's horn a little bit, because I don't do that enough. But she lost 27 pounds this last year by just making simple decision to walk 10,000 steps every day. And then she just naturally started eating differently. And so that conviction also, kind of inspired me to do something like this. And so it's been helpful to have the group of guys do it. The other thing that's been really cool too is developing a better relationship with my brother-in-law, who's already started running. He's kind of gone through his own weight loss journey too, running over the last couple of years, but now being like, oh, I'm going to do a Tough Mudder. He's like, oh, I'll do it with you. And we have totally opposite fears on the Tough Mudder. He's afraid of his feet getting wet and being just so mentally frustrated and all the mental stuff, where I'm like, screw it if my feet are wet. I don't know if I'm going to be able to run 15K. I'm scared on the running. I'm not running with my feet wet or running with my feet dry doesn't matter to me. Like, I am more concerned about like the running portion. And so it's been interesting being able to like talk with him on a deeper level of kind of like our fears or insecurities in training and prepping for this, and also accountability too. He's like, "Oh, did you run this weekend?" I'm like, "Oh no, but I gotta do my run tonight," and keeping us on task with that. And myself, I don't have a treadmill, so tough luck. It's -10 degrees outside. I'm just running outside, and he's got a treadmill, so he's also been like, "Oh, I should probably be running outside," and preparing mentally for that too. And so, it's affected a lot of areas in my life over the last month of just getting into that. One other thing before moving on, I didn't get a chance to touch on the meditation or the writing portion, and kind of my thing has been, I've been doing the meditation throughout the whole day. I'm normally just taking a Bible verse. One of the big Bible verses that I've studied a lot over the last couple of weeks, 1 John 2:6. And it's been really good to just meditate on it. And then my kind of plan has been I meditated on throughout the day. I try and pick a verse if I haven't picked a verse before work starts. Then when I get home, I go on my run. So around 4 or 5 o'clock, I go on my run before dinner, because I've also noticed if I run after dinner, dinner decisions are changed if I've ran before dinner or after dinner. If I don't run before dinner, I'm like, oh, I can have all this food and eat all this stuff, and then I have to go on my run, and then I feel like a slug, and then I feel gross and I feel disgusting. Where if I run before, and then I'm like, oh, I want to, eat something that just refuels me, that, I don't need 10,000 chicken breasts. I just need one, so it's kind of changed that. But then the last part of my day has been, I guess, writing or just recording my thoughts, storyboarding, that kind of thing. And I'm scared to say it, but I've outlined 2 book ideas I've had kind of in my mind over the last year and a half. And now I'm finally actually putting pen to paper. And it's exciting because I haven't written the book, but I now know where I'm going. And I now have all the direction. And now it's like, okay, I've built all this discipline. Now it's just, you got to write, right? And so it's been really exciting. And
Did we get a teaser title or topics, or is that for another day?
That would be for another day.
Here's what's kind of exciting,
any episode, man.
To you guys kind of talk about this is so for the listener, again, any habit can just be something that you could do every day that you don't already do. Like, you want to add it into your life that will be a building block. There'll be integrity, and keep it small, that you could do every day. It could be just as simple as putting your shoes away. Like, maybe you're used to just coming home from work or whatever, and you throw your shoes all over, or the make the bed is like, it is such a powerful principle. We use that with all of our guys in Thailand, and it's been so helpful because it builds something in us. And you don't look at a habit from what's it going to do for me, in the sense of what am I going to get out of it? You will start losing momentum. But when you look at the habit of, it will just make my life better, and it betters those around me. So when you take care of yourself, it betters those around you. When what you're thinking about when you talk to someone, Tommy, your conversation has been rich, and I've always enjoyed your conversation, but it's become rich, been more. It's been a depth, not like deep, like you become a deep person. You're lighthearted, but there's like this freshness when you speak because of what you meditate on. So what you think about during the day, if all you thought about was with the social media, you're going to talk from that lens. You're going to talk from heavy, weighty, opinionated, whatever, these are foundation blocks that people benefit from what you think about. Jason and his music, him being a musician and playing, this just adds into his repertoire of new thoughts, new ways. It adds for other people to benefit. So people actually benefit from you creating good habits. They may not like them in the moment because it may be disruptive to what they're wanting, but that power over your feeling and you actually adding something to your life that becomes a permanent building block is just so powerful. So that it's just huge what it does for you, what it does for other people. So I just recommend writing something down and then setting it for like 21 days. I'm going to do this every day. Have something physical, have something mental, have something spiritual, have something relational. Maybe you've never been thankful for anything before in your life and you've lived a life just complaining. Every day find something to be thankful for. Whatever it is. And then just do it for 21 days and you'll find something begins to build with personal integrity. So I want to shift gears to that, integrity. So I kind of have these 3 layers. I don't know. I'm making up something.
There is nothing higher.
I swear, it's like we make these oaths to each other. Yeah, I'm coming. Are you sure you're going to come? Oh, I'm coming. I promise I'm coming. Don't do that. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Anything else is from the evil one. I thought that's just profound. How many times we tell ourselves, tomorrow I'm going to get started on that. Do you know that is actually counter to building integrity? Right now, start it. There is a difference between I can't start it because I'm in the car driving and I have this thought of going to run. So I'm going to go in the morning and go do it. Now, in the morning when you wake up and you don't do it, that's where the evil one has power. He starts breaking the integrity of your word because when your word gets broken, your identity gets broken. If your identity, you become sure in your identity, but you can't keep your word, your identity starts getting shattered. See, if you can't believe your word, you won't believe God's word. So if God promises something, you won't believe it. We don't believe the integrity of God's word because we don't even believe our own word. And then we listen to other people make promises to us, but we don't really believe them either. We're quick to change. And if you really look at the essence of our whole existence is the trust in words. So we trust to go do something because we trust a word. And so when you build habits, you start small, but what you're really doing is you're rebuilding the integrity within yourself that you can keep your word. And you do this long enough and all of a sudden, wow, I kept my word for 21 days to put my shoes away. And pretty soon you can start adding in bigger things. Man, I think I could go run 1 mile if you've never run before. I could do that. All right, I'm going to go walk around the block every day for 21 days in order for me to do a mile. Why? Because I'm building the integrity that I told myself I could walk every day. Hey, I'm already out here. Let's just go do the run. Pretty soon, your integrity starts adding in. So your integrity is directly tied to your identity. Your identity is what gives you the power and the strength to go do great things and start moving forward in life. But if you don't have the personal integrity, you'll compromise other things in life. You'll compromise people. You'll compromise other things. So just even my personal integrity to what the habits that we've formed, it actually brings more calm to your home when you say, I can't do that right now, but when I'm done, I will. Do you know what happens? Your home goes, okay, he will when he's done. And not like, yeah, I will when I'm done, but you may never get done playing that video game, right? I'm just going to play for an hour. 2 hours go by, 3 hours go by, 4 hours go by, 5 hours will go by. Or I love this in church world. Yeah, I'll be there to help you tomorrow. And then no one shows up. They had no intention of ever coming. But they can't tell you no. No, I'm not going to help you with that, because then you're going to tell them, you're not going to go help feed the children. Don't you know we're going to go feed the children tomorrow? No, I'm not going. Instead, you'll say, sure, I'll come. I'll just got to see what's going on in my schedule. Well, you already know what that means. You're lying because you have no intention of coming. So when you start building that, it starts hurting other people. That's why God says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And it all starts with habits, because your habit is your personal integrity. And guess what? I don't need Jason's approval to validate my identity. So therefore, I don't need to lie to him and tell him yes when I really mean no. I don't need him to feel good about me so I can feel good about myself, but I'm not really going to do that. That's where habits come in. It's why we can't accomplish things in life. It's why great things evade us, is because we don't trust ourselves. We don't believe ourselves, and people around us don't really believe us either. But we make people feel good by saying the right things to them. So when you have that,
the funny thing about that,
go ahead.
Well, the funny thing about that is when you're so unstable like that, you actually are not making people feel good. You see, it seems like you are at the time, but when you're unstable, you say yes, and then you don't show up, and there's that lack of integrity. They don't feel good about that. They have problems trusting you. And I think you nailed it when you talk about the personal integrity side. And I think we discount how much our integrity in saying no matters too. It's not just the integrity when I say yes and show up. It's the integrity when you asked me to do something, I said, not going to be able to do that, but thank you for asking. There's an aspect of integrity there that the person I'm saying no to understands, all right, this is concrete, this is something solid. And it made me think about how different types of integrity, or the way we view integrity in different contexts too, because we talk about the personal integrity, but I think when it comes to habits, there's an aspect of structural integrity in our days that we don't count too. One thing, what I mean by that is I've noticed a big difference in different periods of time in life when I would wake up every day saying, you know what, I don't know what's going to come at me today, but whatever it is, I'm going to handle it like a man, like a son of God, and whatever it is, versus, okay, I don't know exactly how every second of the day I will go, sure, but I know at this time I'm going to be taking 10 minutes to read, or I'm going to be taking 20 minutes at this time to do this, or at 3 o'clock I'm going to have this meeting, and there's a structural integrity because I have the habits there. There's something to that, to where you're not just flying by the seat of your pants, and you are actually building the structural habits of your day. And I think that makes a huge difference, and it's a lot of people, I think we just discount that a lot, or at least I know I have.
That made me think of, Brian, what you were, I think just like a kind of a simple working definition could be, as integrity is showing up day in and day out, doing what you say you're going to be doing. And I think, Brian, you have a great story of just with your ministry, just like showing up. You built integrity so that when the time came that you could speak, you actually carried a weight of influence because you just showed up, right? So how much of your integrity is based on just showing up with work, with school, with fitness? Half of the battle is showing up.
And well, I'll add to that. It is showing up, but it's showing up with the presence of mind that you want to be there. There is a slight little, you can show up and not want to be there, and you'd rather not have that person there. But you show up and you choose to want to be there.
Can I give a very real example of that? So in business, there's different employees over the years, and I can recall certain ones that would show up and feel a little bit under the weather. And we all kind of know that when you're feeling kind of sick, you're like, I could push through, but I just kind of feel crappy. And there's the person that would show up and drop comments about how they're not feeling good because they want to get permission to go home. And then there's the person that shows up and you can tell they feel like crap, but they're like, you know what, man, my head is just killing me, but I'm gonna try this and I'm gonna try to push through. There's such a difference in integrity there that you're showing up the right way, regardless of the circumstances. There's the person who doesn't have the integrity that's just looking for that way to get out of something they said they were going to do and not have to fulfill their obligations. And then there's the person that powers through it, and that's a huge difference.
All right, now here's a huge tester. People will do things even beyond how they're feeling when they value the person that they're showing up for or the thing they're showing up for, the event or whatever it is. I watch people be too sick to go to work, but they feel good enough to go see a certain new movie release. You know what I'm talking about. So we can think of, there's some cases where the person just really is sick, but that's personal integrity, right?
Yep.
They know when they cannot go do something, so they don't go do something else. So when you look at that, people start fully trusting you. Like they trust you when you know. If you're here, you're here. If you give your word, you're here. Or you'll say, listen, I can't keep doing this anymore. You're honest up front, and there's ramifications. Yeah. But you'll be integrous to whoever you value. One thing is for sure, when you don't keep your word to yourself, you don't value you. You think you're less than and not worthy of keeping your word to. And when I say that self-love and the narcissistic stuff, I'm not referring to that. I'm talking about God said you were valuable and you need to keep word to yourself because you're valuable. So the greatest honor you could do to God is you keep your word to him, right? I mean, that's when you worship him, you're keeping your word to him. We worship other things because we keep the word to it. The reason we go and have the extra chocolate eclair or whatever your thing is that causes your downfall, whether it's dieting or whatever, it's because you keep your word to that. It has more value than your own word. And you can actually change these value points. And part of it is you feel great when you do something and accomplish something. When you're done, you're like, wow. That was so worth it. I feel so good, like in a proper way of rejoicing, rather than I feel good having that, even though it cost me something. So back to that personal integrity, and I thought this was kind of interesting. There's the parable that Jesus talks about in his verse, Matthew 21:28-31. What do you think? A man had 2 sons, and he came to the first one and said, son, go work today in my vineyard. And the son answered and said, I will not. But afterward he regretted it and went. Then he came to the second and said likewise, and he answered and said, I go, sir. But he did not go. Which one of those 2 did the will of his father? And they said to him, the first. And Jesus said to them, assuredly I say to you that the tax collectors and harlots entered the kingdom of God before you. For John came to you in a way of righteousness, and you did not believe him, but tax collectors and harlots believed him. And when you saw it, you did not afterward relent and believe him. Okay, so he's making this point. But think about that with us. Just look at your own personal life. If you just come to yourself going, man, I am lying to myself every day, and you just get on it and start a new habit, that is more honorable than trying to find a way to justify why you're not doing something or not changing. That is not good. So think about it. This is a powerful thing. You could get right back into habits. Like you may have failed over and over and over and over. Start smaller and say, I'm going to do this because you're worth doing it for. And then it affects everyone else. And when people start seeing you keep your word to certain things, wow, they start changing. And then they may criticize you. You may actually go and lose weight on your own by good habits. And then they may come out and say, well, that's because you used Ozempic. You know, they may do something like that. That's what haters do. So don't worry about that. I'm kind of joking. This is an earlier conversation we had.
There's a lot of subtext to that.
Yeah, there is. Okay. No, I'm just joking.
None of us on the podcast have ever used Ozempic.
To get going and win, that's a choice you got to make. But if you don't build habits in whatever you're doing, you will begin having value in the external thing, and you will have no personal integrity, and that external thing will own you. It doesn't matter what it is. You have to start owning your personal integrity. When you can own that, people trust you, people want to hire you, people value you, you begin be a shining light. You can actually go and do hard things, and your family will honor it, because when you get back, you keep your word of what you're going to do with them. And now they're at peace. So this is such a huge win. This is where habits become such a building block of everything else in your personal integrity. And it's the number one reason why God told Joshua in Joshua 1:9 to meditate day and night. He told him the habit to have. Meditate, meditate, meditate on the words of God every day, every night, because it changes everything. And it is the thing that causes you to inherit, to advance, to grow, and it is the bigger picture. So back to the point, personal integrity is absolutely crucial to anything else, and the way you start building that is create a small habit. And you start telling the truth to yourself about that. And pretty soon other habits will form, and you'll start adding, and pretty soon you will have such a personal integrity that, first of all, you won't agree to things that you don't want to, you won't do. But when you do say yes, you will see it through. And I'm looking forward. We have a special guest going to be coming on in a couple weeks that is currently in the middle of running this is strictly for Jason, the Arrowhead 135 in International Falls, and -2 degrees, and it's a 135-mile race running in the snow. Jason, he's running in the snow. It's -2 degrees, 135 miles.
With a sled. With a sled carrying all his
well, if he's got a sled, then it's easy. Yeah.
He's towing a sled. He's towing a sled, Jason, in the snow.
I'm just wondering.
He has literally run more miles in the snow than you've run in the warm weather of summer over your entire lifetime.
Wow. I don't know my entire life. I'm wondering what mental picture our listeners have of me now because of all the comments from you guys and me about how much I hate running. They're probably picturing me as like Jelly Roll from 2021. Like that might be what I look like in some people's minds.
So we have a guest coming up. Anyway, I just think it's, by the way, I'm a hater of running too. And I've always been honest and integrous about that I don't like it. Until my wife asked me to run a 10K 2 years ago. I did. I was so angry about it because I had to keep my word because I told her I would. This is where habits come in. But I did. It was awesome. So our current local Thai country staff had them run, and they all agreed it was the best Christmas present they've ever had, even though they hated the Christmas present up until they actually did it, and then they loved it. So we all ran a 10K together. So my love for running is, I don't really love running, but I sure love telling my body what it can do and then finding out the capabilities. So start the habit small. Mm-hmm. All right. So we kind of talked about that. We talked about how it builds our personal integrity. You guys have any comments on that? I kind of just ripped Jason apart, man. I feel really horrible.
Yeah, so we got in our basic foundations and we ripped down on Jason, and I think we're about ready to wrap up. I hope everybody
You guys haven't said anything to me that I haven't said to myself in the mirror this month. All right.
That is interesting. You bring that up, the self-talk while running. Oh, man. If I a couple times had to run in silence, and let's just say I had some choice words for my body as I was running, and I didn't want to run, and I was feeling all the pain. But that self-talk, I mean, I think that's a portion of this too that plays a role. Is how do you view yourself in this, and how do you talk to yourself in all of this? Because it is like, I mean, you can say that you hate running.
Yeah.
I mean, runners hate running, right? But they're a runner. So it's what you do.
I don't know if we actually hate it. I think it hits a point where the idea of the exertion of it and the effect of it, and it's hard. We just don't know enough. And so we have a label of it. I think it's easier to stay out of it than to try to venture in. This is why we do the challenges of kind of pushing boundaries of things that, like, part of this, like the creative side, Jason is really good at. I am not as good with the creative side. So it's a real challenge to me to do the creative side. That's why I'm picking on him on the running, because he could pick on me on the challenge and the creative writing side of things, like, a lot. I'm surprised he hasn't even brought it up yet, but that's all right. I'll bring it up.
Too kind.
He's good at that. He's good at that. I'm not good at that. And so it's more natural to him. But I want to push myself in it. So to be around someone who's good at it and they can kind of give you a little bit of pushback on it, it's a fun firing up, but it's doing challenges causes you to step into new venues. And that's why I find a friend and do it as a challenge. I don't like the idea of like how we term, Jason's always known this about me. I hate that term. You need an accountability partner. It seems so dumb, because when you give an account to someone, that means like they're the accountant. You have no relationship with them. They're just kind of accounting of you. A real partner and a challenge person is there doing it with you. So you can kind of push on each other. So in the last 10K, my son ran with me, David, who hopefully will be back on this podcast. He's busy with school, but we'll get him back on here shortly. But we're running the 10K, and they're hit a point where we're running side by side. He didn't even train for this thing, and he's still going just because he kind of built the mental resolve that if he says he's going to do something, he's going to do it. And we're about the last 2K of the run, and he turns around and starts running backwards. He hasn't trained, and starts giving me David Goggins quotes. And I'm like, wow, I don't like you right now. Like, I just turn around and run. Be quiet. But it was kind of fun. Like, it was this, it chided me on, and then it started making me laugh. And there's actually we caught a photo of someone who's standing on the side, caught a photo of us. It got me laughing because it was pretty humorous that he's sitting there quoting to me David Goggins and tell your body what it's going to do. Is that all you're going to do? There's more in you than that. Come on. And I'm like, man, I am whooped. I don't know if I got more in me, but it made me find some more. We need that from each other. That's the accountability that's life-giving, and it pushes us forward.
And I will say that's why all of our discussion on identity is so key, because I actually don't hate running. I hate that when I start to run, I feel out of shape and winded. So I hate how I feel about myself when I do this thing. But in the times where I've been in really good shape, I enjoy the movement. And I bet a lot of people don't actually hate creative writing. You just hate that you feel dumb at first when you're trying to get an idea put together that fits and makes sense. But when you hit that idea, you're like, this is awesome. And so I think it's just when we can pull that identity out of each other, then you realize I actually don't hate this thing. I just hate how I felt about myself in it for a little while.
That's so true. That's so true. Perfect. Like,
that's it.
It made me think of David. When we're talking about David, he's the only true man of integrity that I ever trust, because he actually went through the miles and did all the running and still says he hates it. So that's the one true man of integrity right there. But yeah, that was really good, Jason. That rings true in everything, right? Like, the reason why I don't like running either is because how I feel when I run. Now, when I feel like I'm floating as I run, I'm like, oh, this is the best thing ever. And I've been there. I'm not there now. So
no one likes to feel vulnerable. I think, Jason, you just kind of pulled something out of this whole conversation that was not even being addressed that I think brought a lot of clarity to. That was very insightful. It starts exposing more things of just, this is what happens when you start challenging yourself into areas that you've not been good at. And you feel so small. Like you're out, you go show up at a 10K and you got all these runners that, or even a marathon. I'm not even at a marathon. Just a 10K was my big thing. But you have these people showing up that are going to run this thing in like 30 minutes, 25 minutes. And I'm happy to get an hour in, right? So you're already at kind of this weird position, but then you start doing it and you start bettering yourself in everything that you do, and you start feeling that a strength and a place of confidence. But we all feel vulnerable when you try something new. Every time, because your muscles aren't developed that way. It's out of your league. You just feel so awkward, and you may never become great as a great person, but man, it so expands your life when you just kind of can do it a little bit. So that was well said, Jason. Start habits. Find, if you break anything you want to do down in life, everything you want to do, find a habit that you could start building personal integrity with and do them in like 21-day intervals. And it will build the building blocks, and it will not take long before you could start hitting bigger goals and bigger milestones. But don't change the habits. Like, keep those habits as the building blocks and don't break your word to them. And your integrity will take you so much further on the job. You will get new positions. People will want to hire you. Just the fact that someone is committed, keeps their word, and does it. And even the integrity to say, no, I'm not going to do that. And then come back later and say, I was wrong. I regret that decision. That is still more admirable than just going along with it and not keeping your word, because it breaks trust in every facet of your life.
Well, we're going to wrap it up with that. I just want to echo what Brian said. Pick a habit, make it small. If you are sharing the habit with someone and letting them know, and there's comments about, well, that's it, like the size of the habit, yes, that's it. That's the habit I'm starting at. So whether it's your internal self saying, well, that habit's too small to really make a difference, you need to shut that voice up. And if it's an external voice from someone else, preferably non-violently, calm their voice or shut their voice up as well, because this is the point. Pick a habit, make it small, make it something that you can actually stick to, and it's going to get better.
I don't mean to add one more thing, but I'm going to, because that's kind of what my integrity has done, is adding one more thing. It's my habit. Pick a habit you're going to do, not a habit that you're not going to do. You want to be able to give your energy towards something, not waste your energy trying to resist something. If you do the towards, you'll naturally resist. So find the habit you're going to do.
That's it, fellas. We appreciate you guys listening in. Till next time, keep the faith and stay in the fight.